All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here to watch this. One thing I want to note, this is the user management help video. And user management is probably not always going to be accessible to everyone. Currently, I think it is. We have everyone in here as admin. But if you are not an admin, you are not going to have access to this page. And so even if you are logged in with your email on the home page in the upper right-hand corner over here, you might not have permission for this. And so if you do not have permission for it and you click on it and you're logged in, it will give you a permission denied. And if that happens and you think that you should be able to update users, then you should definitely talk with your manager or somebody to get that figured out, because not everyone should be able to manage users. So with no further ado, we are going to take a look at this. So this top table is all your users. And if we take a look, we have a name, an email, and a group. That will never change. That will always be the same there. And over here we can edit. So say this name is wrong, which I'm pretty sure this is correct, or the email is wrong. You can change those here just by entering the text and then hitting update user. Another thing you can do is you can change a person's group that they are assigned to. This effectively changes what they have access to in this program. And I'll get into what exactly this group permissions down at the bottom is, but just know that that is how you change people's permissions, is you assign them different groups. I'm going to put these back because we're just leaving everyone as admin for now. There we go. Next, I want to note if you're adding a user, so say we're adding Bob, and Bob has some email. Actually, one thing to note on these emails, if you do anything other than a rustedgatefarm.org email, it's not going to work. You can add the person, so say we're doing gmail.com. You can add Bob, and Bob's going to show up at the bottom of this page. Bob will never actually be able to sign in using the login function on the home page. So if we go back to the home page, Bob will never be able to log in using this. And the reason for that is because this whole program is restricted to only Rusted Gate Farm users. And so Gmail accounts do not work. So that's just a quick note. Make sure your Bob has a rustedgatefarm.com email. Or not .com, sorry, .org. Yes. And then finally, you can assign him to any group. We're going to make him an employee for now. Sweet. Now, one thing that we want to take a look at next is these group permissions at the bottom. So, admin group can never be changed. This is locked for permission reasons. We always want there to be some kind of admin. And so admin group is protected. You cannot change this. You cannot update. You cannot delete. This will never change. Next is these employee and manager. These are just examples. These can totally change. But our idea for this employee is that they can search data, they can update data, and they can insert data. All these other ones are up to you, the managers and admins of this system, of whether your employees should be able to do this. And so viewing the logs, this pretty much is just, every time someone does something in the system, it is logged. Do you really want everyone to see what everyone else is doing? That might just be for your admin. That might just be for your managers and admin. Who knows? It's up to you. Managing users, highly recommend that this is only restricted to admin. This is how you could people could mess with each other this way. So be very careful who you assign here. You should also be very careful with who is able to delete data. If you let someone who, just hates Rusted Gate, they could legit delete all the data from the system. So be very careful with who is assigned to being able to delete data. These three for managing categories, managing asset types, and managing fields. These are for those editing tables, whether they can or cannot. And one thing I want to note, this says asset type here. if we go back to the home page, that is associated with this add group here. So it's just a little bit different of a name that will probably change at some point. But just something to note that the manage asset types is actually manage groups. And of course, it is not this group. It is the groups for hierarchical categorization of data. Sweet. Okay, so we recommend for employees search, update, and insert. And I didn't change anything, so we're going to hit cancel. And then your managers, we're going to go through. Maybe your managers can do everything except manage users. Again, we highly recommend manage users is only for admin to be able to do that. We can also add new groups. So say that, you have employees, you have managers, but you have people that, should be able to at least see the data. Maybe they're not employees, there's something else. So I'm just going to call this outside. Someone who is outside but has a Rusted-Gate email. Just remember, they have to have a Rusted-Gate email to be able to even access this page. But you want to just give them search capabilities. You can create this group, and here you go. It did it here, and we can now make Bob. Bob's one of those outside people. He is a outside person. So you can update the user, and now Bob can only search data. He can do nothing else. Anyways, that should be about it. I'm going to delete Bob here. Bob is not a real person. He was a demonstration. But yeah, other than that, that is how you update your users and permissions for those users.